All righty, welcome to another episode of Walk It Talk It. This is your host, Patricia Williams. So listen, I am so excited today because the focus of this podcast is all about helping empower and encourage and just to uplift everyone. So major reason for starting the podcast has been about my health journey over the past 2 years. So many people are asking, like, what are you doing? What's your secrets? What's different this time than any time before? And as I said last week, having a coach, having a mentor, or whatever it is you're trying to do, whether it's career, spiritual, financial, you got to get in alignment with people who have already reached the goals that you're trying to reach. So I have my coach, my mentor, my little brother, my personal trainer, whatever you want to call it. He's on with me today to give some inspiration, and we're going to talk to him about what it is that he does. So, Antonio, how you doing?
Well, doing very well.
So this is how he is, real humble, and just so down to earth, like you wouldn't think it to see him, but really, really down to earth. So we met like a couple years ago. It's been like a little over 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah, it's been about that long.
Yeah. So at a networking event, a business opportunity, and I said to myself, it was close to my birthday. I think it was about a month out from my birthday, and I said, I'm gonna reach out to this dude because he's built, he's cut. Because if you're trying to do something, you gotta align yourself with somebody who's already reached those goals. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go to anybody. He looked like he knew what he was doing. So I said, let me reach out. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, though. I had no intention on staying with you for over 2 years.
And nobody does.
Said I'm gonna go on and try it out for about 2 weeks, maybe a month, and then I'm gonna quit. So how do you think we made it this far? How we don't get 2 years plus in?
Well, a lot of people have to first understand that in the whole fitness industry, it's a faith walk. Um, how we look, what we give, the knowledge that we study, the vision that we have is all based upon faith. A lot of people really don't take that into consideration, but pretty much what I do is I just build based upon your spiritual, your mental, your physical, your emotional, and so now we tapped into certain areas that was larger than fitness. All of my clients know that when you come to me, we gonna go beyond the body. We gonna go beyond, how much weight we should lift, how much weight we should lose, and I think that's what it's really all about. Is that you have to develop partnership, so you can have great stewardship, and so it can also become the ownership that you take going forward. And so I think we have just destroyed all walks and aspects of this fitness journey. And then the thing about it is that uh, you can't really set a goal because once you set it, you're gonna want more and more and more. So you have to just control what it is that you want, and I think that's what you've been doing since day one is controlling what you want. Every goal you set, you surpassed it, and I think it's really just been the mental aspect of it because you want more and more and more. So
Mhm.
stableness was not for you.
So it's funny that you say that though, because goal setting and just constantly being in reevaluation mode, that's kind of what keeps me going. That's my personality. So I'll put that out in the atmosphere for others. If you need a way to keep yourself focused on the prize, if you will, then that's one thing that we are constantly doing. And I didn't understand at the beginning when Antonio would say, "You don't need a goal. You don't need a goal." But it wasn't in like in a downing kind of way or derogatory type of way. he was just trying to encourage, you were encouraging me that we were already doing it, like just to keep going. But sometimes you can discourage yourself if you're not where you feel you should be yet. But it's all about the process, right?
Absolutely. All
Yeah.
about the process.
So how just coming in for me, um, I was right at 300 pounds, um, really, really sluggish, hadn't been doing a whole lot physically at all. I go back and look at the video where I was on a treadmill holding on for dear life and couldn't let go. And just that whole shift. How do you think that shift happens, like mentally? Because in the beginning, I feel like you were that for me because you was telling me that I could, and I really didn't believe that I could. I'm like, I can't do this, but I just kept coming back, and I was kind of leaning on the faith that you had that I could do it. What advice would you give others that might be in the same situation that I was when I first started?
Well, basically, William Shakespeare said, "To thine own self, you must be true." And so you have to be true to yourself to know that you can't take off running. All of us have children. And even if you do not have children, you've watched somebody raise a child, and you know that raising a child, you know that they cannot take off running. You know that they cannot um, stand up without some assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in the fitness aspect is that we have to understand that we all start off as babies in all of this that we do. We have to learn how to crawl. We have to learn how to stand up with assistance. We have to learn how to talk with assistance. We have to learn how to write with assistance. We have to learn how to lift weights and think with assistance. And so I think in the fitness aspect, you have to look at this thing knowing that you can't start out working out for an hour. You can't start working out for 45 minutes. It has to be a preparation to understand, to download to yourself that, okay, so I'm going to start off light. All right, because what a lot of people do not know is that when you start off running in the workout aspect, you could easily pass out, or you could easily hurt yourself, or you could easily put yourself in a solitary confinement of thinking that this won't get no better. I won't lose any weight no time soon. And I think we have been so, in this generation now, I think we have been so guilty of trying to look at social media pictures of people who already have a body. But the truth of the matter is that you don't really see their process. All you see is just how good they look.
Yeah.
And so we go chasing after how good they look when we have not asked them how long has their process been. And I think a lot of times we get self-defeated because of what other people look like, but we don't even know their story of how far they've come. And so I think that is a very challenging thing for our generation going forward. I think that what we have to understand is that everything that we do is process. We do
Mm-hmm.
not take off running. We all need training wheels for this thing called life, health, wealth, all of that.
Absolutely. And I think we all have to accept that our bodies are made different. Our makeup is different. I think I told you from day one, I don't care about being skinny. I just want to be healthy. Of course, as you start seeing pounds and inches and things go off, and you like, I want to work on this, I want to work on that. But we are all made differently and, made in our own image, in his image, to look differently. So we got to go after our own goals and not necessarily try to look like somebody else.
Right.
Um, One of the other things I was thinking about was, okay, so we first started, a lot of people struggle with the eating component. Um, in the very beginning, I kept wondering, what should I eat? But I didn't want to put myself on a quote unquote diet because diets are temporary, right? And at the end of a diet, I always gain the weight back plus, usually double. So one thing that surprised me about you was you kept saying, don't worry about it. Just keep showing up. Just keep showing up. We'll get to that later. So we were probably about 3 months in before we even really got into the food thing. And the only thing I really gave up personally at the very beginning was soda. And I just started drinking more water. You're encouraged to drink as much water to help with muscle recovery. But talk a little bit about from a dietary component or from a eating side, what you recommend as far as making those gradual changes.
Well, yeah, one thing that I never could tell anybody else's story, only mine's. One thing that I had learned about an eating regimen is that uh, I was so used to eating sausage and eggs every day on white bread with mayonnaise. Oh my God.
What?
I was so used to eating that. And it had been one point in time where my body had shut down. And when I say shut down, it was having pains out of the left side of my face. Sometimes it would be where I couldn't see,
Oh,
uh,
wow.
or it had been the point where I wasn't feeling well, breathing wasn't going as much as I known it to be. And here I am, I'm athletic, so
Hmm.
you couldn't really tell me nothing like that.
Yeah.
And I noticed that over the time, I said, oh man, wait a minute, let me change up the way that I'm doing this thing. And so what had happened was, as I made a quick adjustment because I kept working out,
Hmm.
the working out part was never a problem.
Yeah.
It was just what I had to refuel my body with. So I was refueling with the wrong things. And so when I refueled it with the wrong things, I didn't get the result that I wanted. And so I always tell people, this is what I tell people. I can never make this up. I always tell people that when you're working out, don't try to rush into taking on somebody's meal plan, because everybody thinks that having a meal plan of some sort is the best key possible.
Hmm.
I'm granted the fact having one is a good idea, but what I am saying is that don't rush to try to adjust so fast to eating what somebody else tells you to eat. You have to
Hmm.
gradually come off. I say this statement to all clients of mine. I say either you can choose to walk away from it, or your body will force you to walk away from it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Which category did I fall in? I was forced to
Yeah.
walk away from it. I
Hmm.
know we love ribs. I know we love sausage. I know we love, Lord, chitlins. I know we love pork chops and gravy. Lord have
Oh
mercy.
my God.
Listen, dripping, dripping, dripping. So, so I had to be forced to
Mm-mm.
not eat that. Um, and so I tell people that working out, just keep coming, because what you're going to notice is that as you start working out, your body fight off those things, because as you're eating it, it won't taste good like it did before.
Hmm.
Your smelling a change, your skin a change, your
Hmm.
body structure
Y'all see our
a
skin?
change. You know, and that's real. And I tell people it's a process to this thing. It's not gonna happen in a week. It's not gonna happen in 2 weeks. It's not
Hmm.
gonna happen in a month. It's gonna take time for your body to go through the transitional change that it needs. And all you have
Hmm.
to do is try. You have to try to
Hmm.
not eat it. And I mean, I'm telling you, working out, it either you're gonna be mad, or
Hmm.
you just gonna have to figure out something, because I mean, I send people through the ringer because I want you to understand the knowledge of what your body can do. And here's the thing, let me say this too, because I know a lot of people get confused about this thing. How I look and how other people look, it's not based upon what method we went with. It's not based upon that. It's really based upon your knowledge of what you see or what you feel internally, because my regimen is not the same as theirs. And our process is different. And so the thing about what we went through is that I was telling you, that you have to slowly walk away from it. but keep on coming to working out. Now, if you ask
Mhm.
somebody else that question, they'll be like, it don't even make sense.
Mhm.
But you got to keep on coming, keep
Mhm.
coming, keep coming, because what you're
Mhm.
doing is you're sending your body through a transitional period and it's processing how
Mhm.
to change. And the
Mhm.
eating come right along with it.
Mhm. And it is so true because I really did question like everything from the beginning. We had long conversations. I was calling after hours, texting, like, what is this about? Because I didn't get it. But I think that it's so important that when you bring somebody into your circle to coach you, to mentor you, for whatever it is that you're trying to do, you got to trust them. You can ask questions. It's okay to ask questions, and that's the thing that I like most about Antonio. You can ask him 99 questions, 99 different ways, and he's still gonna answer. He's not gonna get upset. Always calm, cool, and collective. So, you gotta figure out what your process is and stay committed to it. I also just confess, with being on this social distancing and all of this extra food that's being cooked in the house and all of that, I had to call Antonio a couple weeks ago and tell him about some bacon and a couple of things I ate. I was sick.
Right.
You could just like, it's almost like it's unbelievable because for me, like I have been eating things that just aren't good for my body my whole life. So to now, things that I used to love and think I couldn't live without, and I'll eat it, and it makes you sick. Like you can just clearly tell your body feels different. You might feel sick at your stomach, you in the restroom, whatever it might be. So, I mean, this is coming from somebody who, from as early as 10 years old, like I just remember always wanting to lose weight, not being happy with my body, with self-image. And even though, I'm not at the weight I want to be at yet, I'm not, as small as I was when I was 20 years old, I feel better than I have my whole entire adult life. So that's what it's really about, feeling better, not necessarily about the number, but really being able to enjoy life. I wanted to ask, they probably are curious about how you got started with fitness, and has there always been a thing for you, or how did you decide this is what you want to do?
Well, fitness was a talent to me, uh, but helping people was a calling. And you have to know the difference between the two, because we all are called to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And the talent of working out was just something that I picked up on just to have fun with. I've said it many times before. Before I even started training people, I was just doing it just to be doing it. And the thing about me was I wasn't trained by people who was of my age. I was trained by people who was 40, 50, 60 years old. And so it was a talent thing for me because we was having fun. But the calling of it was the older guys put something in me to help me change who I was and my way of thinking. And so as I began to take wisdom from them, my talent got stronger. And so with my talent getting stronger, I had to identify, okay, so am I just going to do this just for me? Or can I take it out to the community or uh, to different cities, different states, just to see what I would get out of it? And
Yeah.
so I never forget the conversation I had with uh, a mentor who's a brother of mine. And this was back in 2018. And I introduced to him, I said, well, man, listen, what you think about me actually just starting out, to train people? He didn't even give me an estimation or a guesstimation. He just said, just do it. Just jump out there and do it. And to my surprise, based upon how I looked, because I told you I was getting crazy trained by 40, 50-year-old people. So I'm assuming that they felt like, but since we older, we just gonna live through this young boy. So
Mm-hmm.
so so what we gonna do is we just gonna give him everything we need. And so I launched out there, and ever since then, God has enlarged my territory of training people, and it has been more than just a fitness aspect because who you are, this is the reason why people stick with you. It isn't just because of your body. It just isn't because of your knowledge. It's because of the wisdom that you have, or it's the perception that you give off. And so my perception of who I am and what I gave off is what allowed people to stick around. And the good news about the whole fitness aspect for me is that I never stop learning. So
Mhm.
that means I take clients on for them to teach me something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
uh, and so the thing about it is that you can never get too comfortable in your own learning, because we all are being taught something new every day. Uh,
Mhm.
and so the people who I've had and who I have now have all taught me a great deal of
Mhm.
success in this fitness aspect. And so that's really how I started this thing out. And lo and behold, the
Mhm.
numbers just keep on growing.
Yeah, so I've always heard that you got to stay in student mode. You're never too old to learn, and you're never too young to teach. And I have, been able to witness myself just the impact that you're making on people. And from the beginning, as you said, I can remember you always saying it's more than a workout; it's deeper than a workout. And we come in and we just like whatever. But now I get it. It probably took a little over a year before I started to get it and started to really believe that I could stick with it. But it's so funny now because, with being on this social distancing and not being able to get to the gym with you and all of that, I missed it. And I never thought that, I would be the person that actually liked going to the gym, working out. And I'm texting you saying, hey, what can I do at home? What can we do a class? What would you tell people, as far as being at home right now? What's some things that they can do to try to stay active?
But the good news is that you have to make sure that who you are trained by or who you work out with is that they open the door of communication to keep you involved.
Okay.
If it's all about money, then there's no growth aspect to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's about relationship, then you can encounter and impact anything going forward.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always have an open door policy for myself to have people consistently call me, ask me whatever questions, because here's the thing, I don't own this information.
Mm-hmm.
I don't own it. My name is not own information that I'm given, because you can YouTube anything you want nowadays.
Yeah, true.
And so the thing about it is that I challenge people to at least get in, no matter what you're doing, where you are, at least do at least 3 to 5 miles a day. um, Make sure that you, as I say, connected to whoever you're trained by, that they can throw in some different type of muscle confusion workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Those uh, who who are unable to do workouts as far as standing up, make sure that you have that alternation as far as them doing chair workouts, as far as them doing couch workouts, leg flexions,
Mm-hmm.
all of this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so my thing is, I always tell people, even now, if you don't know what to do, ask me. It don't matter. It don't
He's
matter.
available. He's
It don't
available.
matter. It don't matter, because I say I do not own this
Mm-hmm.
information. I do not. The only information I own is what God has given me to give to you. So
Mm-hmm.
that's all
And
I
what's
got.
interesting is like from the beginning, we didn't use a lot of equipment. We might have used a treadmill or an elliptical, but I can remember being like, what about all these machines? And you was like, those machines don't mean nothing until you get your body used to moving and your heart rate going and, being in high calorie burn mode. And it was so crazy because I had never experienced that before. Antonio can literally make a workout out of nothing, and you're like dead at the end of it. So it's not about the equipment and having a lot of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not about that. Um, I think it's just like going into a candy store and you picking out a certain item that you like, but then you see something else and you're like, oh, I want all that too. Hold up, wait a minute, I want
Yeah.
that too. And so my thing is you have to learn how to make results, make progress out of the little that you have. Uh, that's key. That's simple.
Mhm.
Jesus fed thousands of people with 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread out of the minimum that he
Mhm.
had. And
Yeah.
so all I'm saying is that we all have productive skill set, but you can't be productive out to a whole crowd, if you can't just use the small stuff that you have first, uh,
Mhm.
and be mobile with that, and then you could show everybody else the different varieties of workouts, elliptical, stairmasters, bench pressing, all of that stuff.
Mhm.
You got to start from the beginning. Like I said
Mhm.
earlier, you have to learn how to crawl before you could take off walking, running, all of that stuff. Got to.
Absolutely. Really focused workouts. Like I can remember in the past being a gym member for all different types of gyms. And you go in and you get on all this stuff and you feel like you don't did something and they did nothing. So that's basically what he's saying. You gotta, basics. Start with the basics.
Yeah.
We're gonna wrap up here shortly, but just one other question I wanted to get in, and then of course any other final thoughts that you might have. Of course, my motivation was my kids, as well as living a healthier life in general. But becoming a single parent and wanting to be here and be healthy for whatever time God grants me with. I've had a struggle with high blood pressure since I was 19. And a lot of people, unfortunately, 1 out of every 3 African Americans in the United States have high blood pressure. 1 in every 2 African Americans are obese, are overweight. So a lot of other, of course, health issues come with that, from diabetes, high cholesterol, a lot of things that we're battling that sometimes we use as an excuse not to get better. But what type of advice would you give to people who maybe are hesitant to even start because of all of the anxiety with all the health issues they may already have, or just being scared, just being honest, just being scared and fearful of even trying? You give them some advice?
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's pretty simple. As I could record growing up, uh, such as a man thinketh, so is he. So I say that again: such as a man thinketh, so is he. So what you think is the gold card, is the platinum card, is the $1 million answer to what your actions give off next. Um, if you think that you're not going to be healthy,
Mm-hmm.
then you'll stay stable. If you think that you can't move your feet,
Mm-hmm.
then your feet will stay stable. If you
Yeah.
think you can't ride a bike, then your legs will be locked. Doctor reports, and any other aspect in the medical field, they give you all of this information to let you know how your body looks, what you should take, what you should not take, what you should eat, and what you should not eat. But that's what they think you need. So when they tell you that, you have to put in your mindset, okay, so do I adjust based upon what they tell me, or do I just go back to regular normal living?
Mm-hmm.
And so, in a nutshell, what I'm saying is that whatever you think, then that's where you adapt to. That's what
Mm-hmm.
you will adapt to. And my thing is that you don't have to think that based upon how other people look and all that, that you have to be like them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to think to yourself, this is going to be a process. This is going to be something that I have to gradually get better at. Those who have grandmothers, grandfathers, that when learning how to cook, it's a process to that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to learn based upon what they teach you. And so when you're learning that, you're going to know that, okay, well, this first batch of cookies may not be the best. Well, try again. Or the second one might not be the best. I need a little bit more of this, or I need a little bit more of that. It's the thinking. You have to think that you can get better. You have to think that this won't always be like this. You have to think that I won't stay confined in this body that I have now. I won't look the way I look now. I think we all have different motivations. We all have different inspirations in our life. One of the things that I know that really changed the way I thought was when I had a child. And so that changed the way I thought. Either I was going to stay complacent and thinking that I'm just going to work a regular job, or I'm going to be more than what I am in that time. So I had to adjust the way that I think in order to get the results that I needed. And here I am now. I've been took the long way around, but hey, it worked out. But here I am now. And God has exceeded my expectations. So I'm just saying is that if you think that you can come out of it, then you'll come out. You know, if you think you can have this body that you want, this health that you want, you can do it. It's really what you think. So,
and while you're trying to get there, again, I would urge you, find you an Antonio. If you connected, if you're listening and you want to know how to get connected to him or how to reach out, you got to find you a coach or somebody who's going to be that faith for you until that mental mindset starts to change, until you get that shift. Again, I'll just say from a personal perspective, I, used an excuse for years, that both of my parents have high blood pressure and diabetes. One of them has a heart condition. So I told myself that I had a predisposition that this is what I was going to be because this is what my parents are. That's not true. And I'm learning that. Most people think, and you're told, and the doctors make you believe that once you're on medication, that you're going to be prone to medication for the rest of your life. From 19 to 38 years old, I went from one pill to 6 medications at one time, often having so much medication that I couldn't even afford to purchase it, that my parents would help me get the medication. But today, at 40 years old, I take 1/2 of a blood pressure pill. And by the end of this year, my plan is to be off completely. So you can change the narrative. You don't have to be what somebody else tells you that you are. You can dictate your own health by making those necessary changes. And again, based on what the doctors say, I'm still overweight, but that's okay. I'm still on my journey. I'm still in process. But despite still being overweight, I'm at the best health position I have been in my entire adult life. And I definitely could not have done it and could not be doing it without the support and the coaching from Antonio and All the Way Fitness, his brand. You are just so dope. And I definitely recommend him all the time to the people that ask me, if you in Louisville, Kentucky, that's who you need to reach out to.
hey,
So, any final thoughts or anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Hey, I just want to let you all know it's pretty simple to tell yourself daily that anything is possible. You got to believe it for yourself. The old Negro spiritual song used to be still is strong today. If I could help somebody as I pass along, if I could cheer somebody with a word or a song, if I could tell somebody
Come on.
traveling along, then my living won't be in vain. So all I'm telling you is that it takes one to help one to change a generation.
Amen. He sound like an old 60, 70-year-old, don't he? He been hanging around some saints.
I told y'all.
Now is the time to get started, to change the dynamic, to reach all your goals. It's still 2020. We in the midst of a crisis, but there is still vision and a purpose for all of us to achieve and attain this year, but it's up to us to make those steps to get started. And one of the last things that I will say, a lot of people, the main obstacle is too much. I can't afford it. How much is it? This sort of thing. For me, I will say, I don't care how much it would cost for me to hire a trainer for some of the, the dietary supplements as far as vitamins and CBD, different things that I use. I would pay double if it meant that I was going to live longer and a more quality life. So I think we got to start thinking about what we're willing to sacrifice in order to get where we're trying to go. I remember a whole year of not going to the nail salon. I used to go every week, so I didn't go and get my feet, my nails done. Don't talk about my feet. For a whole year. When I went, it was like my nail tech saw a ghost. He was like, "Where you been?" And I told him, I said, I had to sacrifice my nails and my feet so that I could walk. And when I told him that, tears came to his eyes because he got it, but then he saw it because he's like, "Oh my God, you're like a different person." So you got to be willing to sit down and really think about what your priorities are and where you want to be. So again, thanks for listening. Thanks for dropping in on us today, Antonio. It's been a great conversation. We definitely hope to bring you back. Ask questions. Let us know what you think. And we'll be back. This is another episode of Walk It, Talk It.
All right.